Hey guys, today we are doing a video on the Harry Potter book set. We have books 1 through 7, and I'm going to tell you what they are about. This one is number 1, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And it's about when Harry Potter was a kid, he's living with his aunt and uncle and his cousin, and they bully him all the time, they make him sleep under the stairs. And one day he gets a letter from Hogwarts that he is accepted, but he doesn't get to read the letter because the aunt and uncle try to get rid of the letter all the time. They travel to other places to try to not get him to go to the school. So they're on an island in a hut, hiding from whoever is trying to deliver the letter. So Hagrid delivers the letter, and he also tells Harry that he is a wizard, and that's when Harry Potter finds out for the first time. So after that, they go to Diagon Alley, where they buy school books, cauldron, potion supplies, robes, and, wizard stuff like that. And Harry will go on the train, the Hogwarts Express, and it takes him to Hogwarts. He makes friends with Ron Weasley on the train, and he also meets Hermione Granger on there. Then they go to Hogwarts, and that's where the whole sorting hat scene takes place. The hat, unlike the movie, sings a song. Not really sure why in the movie it does not sing a song, but it does in the book. And then it sorts everyone just like in the movie, calling out the name of the dorm that they belong in. Harry Potter gets sorted into Gryffindor, even though he was actually very afraid that he'd beaten Slytherin. But he does not go to Slytherin, although the sorting hat did want to put Harry in Slytherin. Then the whole feast begins, and there's all the teachers at a table, and Dumbledore at the table with the teachers. And after that, they go to bed at the Gryffindor dorm. And then, it's just basically he goes to school, takes all those classes. He does not like Severus Snape, teacher of the potions class. And then at some point, Christmas will arrive. He gets an invisibility cloak from Dumbledore, although he does not know it because Dumbledore did not sign the note that he put with the cloak. Then later in the book, Hagrid gets a dragon, calls it Norbert, and he tries to grow it in his hut for like a while, but it doesn't really work out. It's getting too big, so Harry has to sneak out of school. And basically, also throughout the book, they are trying to find out who Nicholas Flamel is, and they find out that a 3-headed dog named Fluffy is guarding the Sorcerer's Stone on the 3rd floor of the school. In the end, they have to go through all these challenges to try to save the Sorcerer's Stone because they don't want Snape to get it. So they have to deal with Devil's Snare, which is a plant that kind of wraps around them, trying to choke them to death. And then they have to ride a broomstick to get one of the flying keys to get into the door. And that will lead to the chess set. In the movie, the chess set was the final challenge, but in the book, the chess set was not the final challenge. After the whole chess scene, there's a troll, but it's already knocked out, so they don't have to do anything to it. The final challenge was potions. You have to guess what sorts of potions, and which one's not poison, and which ones are wine, and which ones can get you through a fire. And Harry and Hermione do figure that out. So they get through the fire. Hermione goes back, and she wakes up Ron to send an owl to Dumbledore because Dumbledore had left the school. And then Harry goes through the fire onward so that he could try to stop Snape from getting the Sorcerer's Stone. But actually, it turns out Quirrell is after the Sorcerer's Stone, and he's got Voldemort on the back of his head, like Voldemort's face on the back of his head, telling him what to do. So the stone was somehow hidden in the mirror, but Harry didn't want to use the stone for himself. He wanted to get the stone and save it from Quirrell so that Quirrell wouldn't get it and make Voldemort come back in full power. So Harry looks into the mirror. He sees himself pocketing the stone, and then somehow he has the stone in his pocket. At first he tells Quirrell, "We won the House Cup and I'm shaking hands with Dumbledore." So Quirrell takes off the turban, and then there's this whole battle scene with Voldemort and Harry, and Quirrell's trying to kill Harry to get the stone. But obviously he fails. I don't know if Voldemort's spirit or soul or whatever escaped. But yeah, he did escape, he did kill Quirrell, and Harry had to be sent to the hospital wing. So in the end, the stone is destroyed, but Harry goes back to the Dursleys and he has to wait for another whole year to return to Hogwarts. This is book 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It continues the story from the first one. So Harry is at his aunt and uncle's, and they're not being very nice to him. They're the Dursleys. And he gets visited by a house elf named Dobby. And Dobby tries to get Harry to not go back to Hogwarts, but Harry obviously does not listen. He keeps telling him, "No, I have to go back." So Dobby throws a pudding in the kitchen, and Harry gets in trouble for it. So he gets locked in his room. So Ron and his brothers, Fred and George Weasley, which are twins, they come and get Harry out with a flying car. So they get Harry out of the Dursley house, and they bring him to their house where he spends the rest of the summer. Soon they go back to Diagon Alley to get their school stuff, and they meet their new Defense Against the Dark Arts professor, Gilderoy Lockhart. and he's extremely stuck up. He thinks he's so the greatest thing in the world. And they go to Hogwarts Express soon after that, where they arrive at school where strange things are happening. First thing happens on Halloween, where Harry, Hermione, and Ron attend a death day party for Sir Nicholas D. Nimsy Porpington, nearly Headless Nick, the Gryffindor ghost. And when they come back upstairs, there is like bloody writing on the wall, and there's the cat hanging frozen from, I think, a torch on the wall. And then everyone sees them. They think Harry's opening the Chamber of Secrets because he can speak Parseltongue, and he does not figure that out till later. Soon they go back to History and Magic class, and they find out about the Chamber of Secrets. There's supposed to be a deadly beast in it that can freeze people. And then soon Hogwarts students are being frozen, and there's all kinds of messages on the wall. Harry finds a diary where they were brewing a potion, which was in the girls' bathroom. And he writes in the diary, and the diary starts responding to him, so he's kind of writing in it and trying to figure out who opened the Chamber of Secrets, because whoever had owned that diary did know who opened the Chamber of Secrets. So for a while he thought it was Malfoy, but after finding the diary and writing to it, the diary said it was Hagrid, so Harry for a while believes it was Hagrid. In the end, Harry, Lockhart, and Ron go down to the Chamber of Secrets after Hermione was frozen, and they find a giant snake called a basilisk in there. Harry has to battle it, and then the diary is also in there, and the diary had been possessed by a piece of Voldemort's soul, so it was a Horcrux. And a teenage Voldemort comes out of the diary, and it starts trying to battle Harry. It's trying to kill him, and Harry battles the basilisk, and he almost dies, but Dumbledore's Phoenix and the Sorting Hat come and save him. In the end, he defeats the basilisk and Voldemort's soul, and then he goes back upstairs and he tells Dumbledore everything that happened, and then he goes back to the Dursleys after the school term ended. This is the third book in the Harry Potter series, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The Prisoner of Azkaban is Sirius Black, which is Harry Potter's godfather, but everyone believes that he killed 13 people with a single curse. So that's what he's convicted for. Right before Harry goes back to school, Sirius Black escapes Azkaban, and everyone thinks he's after Harry Potter because he keeps saying in his sleep, oh, he's at Hogwarts, he's at Hogwarts. And everyone thinks that he used to work for Voldemort and that he's the second in command and everything, but actually that's the complete opposite. He was never working for Voldemort, and he's Harry's godfather. He's trying to save Harry from a rat, which is Ron's pet, and its name is Scabbers. But actually, its real name is Peter Pettigrew, and it transfigured itself into a rat. It's got the magical ability, I think they're called animagus. And Sirius has the power to turn himself into a dog. So he escapes as a dog, and no one really knows where he is or what he's doing. And he finds his way to Hogwarts, slashing paintings and trying to get in. Everyone thinks he's a killer. And in the end, you find out he's not the killer. And Harry finds out that the rat was actually Peter Pettigrew. And Peter Pettigrew was the one who actually betrayed Harry's parents to Voldemort. So Sirius is trying to save Harry, and his teacher, Professor Lupin, is trying to save him, and his friends are there. And Peter Pettigrew, he denies it at first, and then he finally confesses that he had turned in Lily and James to Voldemort, and that's how his parents died. So, unfortunately, this whole thing had to happen at the full moon, so Professor Lupin, who's actually a werewolf, turns into a werewolf. He tries to attack them, but Sirius turns into a dog. He fights him off, and then Lupin runs into the Forbidden Forest. And Peter turns himself into a rat so that he can escape, and he did escape. And Harry and Hermione have to use a time turner to go back in time and to save Sirius because he got captured. And this thing on the front is a hippogriff, and they have to also save the life of a hippogriff because it was supposed to be beheaded for scratching Draco Malfoy. That's basically what happens in the book, and then obviously he has to go back to the Dursleys in the end. This is the fourth book in the series, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Definitely, I can't decide if this one's my favorite or the seventh one is, but yeah, it's so good. So Harry is with the Dursleys for the summer, but the Weasleys come and get him, and they take him to the World Quidditch Cup, and he's with Ron, Hermione, and the whole family of the Weasleys. And then Dumbledore invites two other schools when they get to school for the Triwizard Tournament, and Harry is mysteriously entered because only people 17 and up can enter, but Harry's 14 in this book. And one of the teachers had secretly entered him into the Triwizard Tournament, so they had to go through tasks of dragons and mermaids, and then finally in the end a maze. Whoever gets the Triwizard Cup, they get to keep that, and they get a bag of 1,000 galleons, which is wizard money. So someone puts a spell on the cup, so when Harry and Cedric touch the cup because they want to win together, they are transported to a graveyard where Wormtail, which is Peter Pettigrew, he was trying to bring back Voldemort. He killed Cedric and then used Harry's blood and his own hand and Tom Riddle's bone. Tom Riddle is Voldemort's dad. Then there's this whole battle scene with Death Eaters and Voldemort and Harry. Harry gets away and he has to drag the body along with him, Cedric's body, because he has to take it back to Hogwarts so that the parents can bury it and stuff. And then in the end, obviously it's the end of the school term, so he goes back to Dursley. This is the 5th book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So in the beginning of this book, Harry and his cousin are attacked by a soul-sucking Dementor. It's a creature that sucks your soul, and they guard the wizard prison Azkaban, but since Voldemort had come back in the last book, they are now working for him. So Harry spent his summer with the Order of the Phoenix, which is a society to try to stop Voldemort from taking over the world. And Harry is having nightmares, his scar is hurting, and because Voldemort's back. When Harry goes back to school, he has a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Her name is Professor Dolores Umbridge. And she's kind of crazy, and every time she gets Harry in trouble, she'll make him write on a piece of paper, but it's a spell that carves it into his hand, and he always writes, "I must not tell lies," because she tells him to, but it's carved into the back of his hand, and soon he gets all these scars. So basically, he kind of just attends classes, gets in trouble with his new teacher, and then he does an interview with Rita Skeeter, and they try to tell everyone that Voldemort is back, and he gets all this mail. And the teacher is, of course, extremely angry, and she tries to take over the school, and Dumbledore gets kicked out, and then she becomes headmistress. And then in the end, Harry goes to the Ministry to try to prevent Voldemort from killing Sirius, but it turns out that Sirius was not there the whole time. Voldemort had put that image in his mind. Harry just ends up fighting a ton of Death Eaters, and the Order of the Phoenix comes, and they try to save Harry, but Bellatrix, which is Sirius's cousin, she kills Sirius. There is a prophecy at the Ministry, and Neville Longbottom accidentally breaks it, but it doesn't matter because Harry does not want Voldemort to get a hold of it. Actually, he had been trying to get it away from the Death Eaters and stuff because they wanted to give it to Voldemort. And then there's a battle scene in the entrance hall. Dumbledore comes and he saves Harry's life, literally right when Voldemort's about to kill him. Harry's all upset because Sirius is dead and he has to go back into the Dursleys in the end because it's the end of the school year. So things don't quite end well in this book, but yeah. So Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, this is the 6th book in the series. It's about Harry and Dumbledore in the beginning. They go to get a new teacher for Hogwarts. That teacher will be teaching potions. Snape finally gets the Defense Against the Dark Arts job that he's been wanting for years. This teacher is Horace Slughorn, and so he takes up his old post as potions teacher. Harry takes private lessons with Dumbledore so that he can try to figure out how to kill Voldemort. And they have to go after all 7 of Voldemort's Horcruxes, but some of them are already defeated. Dumbledore had defeated one, Harry had defeated one. So Dumbledore teaches Harry about the Horcruxes, that Voldemort, every time he kills someone, he puts a piece of his soul in an object. So Harry has to go after them. Some of them are destroyed, like the diary, and Dumbledore had destroyed the ring. So there's the locket, the snake, and some other ones that he has to go after. Basically in the whole book, he just goes to school, takes the private lessons with Dumbledore, and he is also trying to figure out what Draco Malfoy's up to, because Malfoy, he thinks, is a Death Eater. And in the end, yes, you do find out that Malfoy had been made a Death Eater, and he was trying to kill Dumbledore throughout the whole book, because he tries to send him poisoned wine and the cursed necklace and stuff. And then in the end, Harry and Dumbledore go to this cave to try to retrieve the locket, which is one of the Horcruxes of Voldemort. And when they come back, the Death Eaters had gotten into the school, they were battling everyone, and Draco Malfoy had gotten them into the school through a vanishing cabinet. And Snape ends up killing Dumbledore, and Dumbledore falls out of the tower, and yeah. And at the very end of this book, Dumbledore's funeral is held. This is the 7th and last book in the Harry Potter series. This is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. In the beginning, he attends a wedding and things are going well. He's staying with the Weasleys. And finally, when Voldemort took over the Ministry, he's on the run and he has to try to figure out where the rest of the Horcruxes are. And throughout the story, he does find them, he destroys them. So Harry finds out that he's got one of the Deathly Hallows. It is the invisibility cloak. And when Dumbledore died, he had left a will and he had given Hermione a book of Tales of Beedle the Bard, Ron a Deluminator, and Harry a Golden Snitch. Inside the Golden Snitch is the Resurrection Stone. So that's the second Deathly Hallow, so he's got 2 of them. There's a lot of dramatic scenes. He has to break into Gringotts to get Hufflepuff's cup, which was one of the Horcruxes. Harry's got the cloak and the stone, and Voldemort has the third Deathly Hallow, which is the Elder Wand. Harry breaks into the school at the very end, and he has to recover Ravenclaw's crown, which was a Horcrux. Then there's the whole Battle of Hogwarts thing that happens. Harry finds out that Snape is a good guy, and he also finds out that he's one of the Horcruxes. So Voldemort kills him, but kills the part of his soul that's in Harry, so Harry doesn't actually die. So then in the end, Mrs. Weasley kills Bellatrix, and Harry kills Voldemort. And so Voldemort finally dies in the very end. And in the very last chapter, Harry's got his own 3 kids, and he takes them to Platform 9 3/4 to send them to Hogwarts. And his second son, who is named after Dumbledore and Snape, so Albus Severus, he is worried about being in Slytherin, but Harry assures him that everything will be okay, and yeah, that's basically the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye!